my grandma was like, "Are you okay?" Because I started wearing pink. I'm like, yeah, like, because she thought I started, like, she thought I was liking men. When my parents got divorced, my mom started to loosen up a little bit. I enjoy acting, but that phase of my life, me doing acting, gave me the confidence that I needed at that time to be like, oh, I can do whatever I want. You know, my parents were young when they had me, so a lot of things that they didn't really have put together or figured out within themselves, which made it a little chaotic. We really did odd jobs and stuff to get money. I played drums. For me, I never wanted to be an artist. I was highly depressed because I just didn't understand what was happening.
Hi, this is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk Talk. Today I'm here with Pink Sweats.
Yo.
So you were born in Philly, or?
Born in Philly, born and raised.
Are your parents originally from there?
I think, yeah, for the most part, yep.
And what career are your parents in?
My dad was a pastor. My mom does hair. Stepmom works for the government. I think she like works at a school now. And my dad does too.
Actually, going back a bit, so where in Philly are you from exactly?
Where in Philly? Oh, I'm from West Philly. I lived in West Philly from like birth up until like however old you are in 7th grade, 6th grade. Then I moved to Northeast for 2 years.
Was that for your mom's job, or?
Well, because my parents got divorced. So
oh, okay.
my mom moved around the corner from my dad in Northeast. Lived there from like 7th grade to 9th grade. And then moved to the suburbs in 10th grade.
How do you describe the environment or house that you grew up in?
Pretty crazy. Very crazy.
In what way?
Well, I would just say that, you know, my parents were young when they had me, so a lot of things that they didn't really have put together or figured out within themselves, which made it a little chaotic. Yeah. But overall, from my perspective, it was decent enough for me to be here. But would I say that I would be like, wish that my parents didn't get divorced, or that they weren't so young even? Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
What kind of music were they playing in the house when you were growing up?
When they did play music, it was gospel, but that wasn't a ton. It wasn't really like a ton of music playing in the house all the time.
Yeah, you went to church a lot, right? Were you in the choir and stuff?
Yeah. I was in the choir. It was interesting.
Yeah, it didn't super click to you, like all the church music back then.
Yeah, I was like not really feeling it. When I was a kid, it was fun. Yeah. And then you get older, you try to be too cool for school.
And were you also doing some instruments like drumming, or?
Yeah, I played drums. That was mainly what I did. I played drums. I did a few choir things, but mainly drums.
But what age were you when you started playing drums?
Like 5.
Were you taking lessons, or who was teaching you?
Just picking it up every day. Well, not every day, but every Sunday.
And did you play that in a band, or?
No, well, I ended up doing like a band for a week in high school, but it wasn't nothing serious.
How do you describe your personality back then growing up?
Very carefree.
Did you like school much, or did you do well?
I did not enjoy school. I did well when I had to, so I wouldn't fail, but overall, yeah, I always did just what I had to do. I felt like I always knew that I would not be an academic.
And back then people around you were listening to a lot of rap, but you didn't really relate to it until like Kanye came, right?
Yeah, Kanye was lit, rapping about more everyday things, I guess.
Yeah.
That kids could relate to.
Do you remember the first CD or music you were listening to at that point?
CD. I don't really remember. I think it was like, I feel like I always give a different answer because I really don't remember. But it's probably like Mario or something. When my parents got divorced, my mom started to loosen up a little bit, so I think she bought me that CD.
At what age was it when they were divorcing? Did it impact you a lot?
Yeah, it definitely impacted me a lot, but everything happens for a reason.
What kind of music were you doing in your free time if you weren't like doing school stuff back then?
School stuff? I was just messing around with everything. I started a band, like I said, for a week. Me and my brother and two of my Asian homies, Steven and Mark, we called it Affirmative Action. We did like an R&B song.
Oh, that's cool.
We made like a rock song. We just did everything. It was never like, oh, you do one. I never ever was only interested in one thing.
And did you release it also, that music?
No.
I feel like people would be curious to hear Affirmative Action.
I would be curious to hear it too.
Oh, you don't know where it went now?
No, because CDs, man. Back in the day, you lose a CD, you lost everything.
Did you ever perform with them, or was it just kind of like a...
Oh yeah. We actually wrote and performed like 4 songs, and we did it all in the span of a week.
Oh wow.
Just because we wanted to do the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
So in that span of a week, we wrote and performed like 4 original songs.
Yeah. And is that when you went to more of a white predominant high school?
Yeah.
Or when was that? Yeah. Was it difficult transitioning into that?
Yeah, at first it was, but music is very much the glue to the world.
Yeah, and I guess you met these people there, so.
Yeah.
And you were also doing like a school, was it talent show or singing show? First time performing in front of all these people that weren't church audiences.
Yeah. I was at high school. Shout out my high school, Lenape High School.
Do you remember what you were singing?
I think it was So Sick, but I'm not 100% sure.
And did people in your school already know you as like the singer or the wanting to get into music?
At that time, yeah. I guess people thought that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was just something that wasn't school. Put my energy somewhere else.
And do you still talk to the people who you were in the group with?
No, actually, I don't. We lost contact after high school.
And then were you in other bands or making music yourself or releasing any while you were in high school?
Not really. At that point, it was all just for fun. And just, you create a little friend group. But that was it. I never had any real dreams of doing music. It just seemed so far-fetched back then. But I guess it was always there,
Yeah. Was your mom worried about your career or what you were gonna do with your life?
Yeah, I mean, in early ages, because I was pretty rebellious when it came to school, and it was like my parents would be so upset because they were like, yo, clearly you can do this stuff because you never failed. You never got left behind. So it's like, why don't you just do your best? And me, it was just like, I just never really understood for my life specifically at that time. I don't know, I feel like people always taught me, whether it was teachers or family, they always said, hey, go to school, get a good education so you can get money. Not to get smart.
Yeah.
So most people don't care about being smart. They just want to get a good job.
That's so true.
And me, I never had aspirations of having a job, so in my little tiny kid brain, I was like, nah.
Did your mom push you into a certain career, or?
Nah, they kind of let me do whatever I wanted at that point, because you know, how many conversations can you have about the same thing? But, you know, I always told them I'm going to be successful whatever I chose to do.
Yeah.
And it just so happened I chose acting first. I did one thing that was I was able to make some money.
Oh, where did you do acting? Like in Philly still?
Yeah, it was a acting school called the Acting Center. I can't remember the exact name, but it was Rodney Rob's school. Took a few classes there, did my first audition, landed it.
Damn.
And then my parents just, from there, just started leaving me alone.
Did you really like acting? Like, were you really?
I enjoy acting, but that phase of my life, me doing acting, gave me the confidence that I needed at that time to be like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
So this is right after high school?
Yeah.
And then what happened after you getting more into acting? Were you, when was that? I read in a previous interview that you're living with your like sibling and grandma.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was right after acting.
Okay.
So I moved out of my dad's and my stepmom's, and I just wanted to be in a position where I didn't really have a comfort zone. So I forced myself essentially to leave the nest. And my grandma had a little 1-bedroom apartment essentially, and opened her door to me and my little brother, and we thugged it out on the floor and stuff like that. So I could have stayed home, but I always felt like if I stay home, then I'm gonna get comfortable, you know? In that situation with my grandma's, yo, every day I'm waking up like, yo, I gotta get to it. I gotta figure these things out instead of making myself the ultimate comfort in my situation.
What kind of job were you doing? Because it was difficult to live during that time, right, with your grandma. Like, you were paying all the bills for your, was it brother's school, or?
So my brother, he and I, we really did odd jobs and stuff to get money. I played drums, he plays keys, so do things like that. Selling songs, I would do just whatever I had to do at that point. It was just to make it to the next month, essentially, because you don't really make a ton of money at that phase in your career.
What were you performing drums for? Who was it for?
Churches.
Okay.
Church stuff. After that, developing artists, just trying to expand. Like, as a writer, found artists. And me and my manager.
How did you meet your manager, actually?
Writing. I was writing for a group, Suitcase City, 2 of my homies. And yeah, he was managing them. We just started getting cool. Like, we would hang out, and then eventually, like, I guess 2 years in, or a year and a half in, I just approached him to be my manager, and I never looked back.
What kind of clicked to you to start, like, songwriting for, like, Suitcase or, like, other people you knew? Because I feel like that's not something that people really know about when they're first getting into the music industry. That's a possibility to do.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a great position because they were independent, but their team had it together at that point to get those marketing and things like that. So a lot of things that artists just don't know how to do, I guess, in the independent space. So the one thing I learned was, it wasn't even like a learned thing, I just always thought in my brain, like, to network across and not try to chase like these massive artists.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that, but as a writer, I just saw people doing that all the time. Like, yo, I'm writing this song for Sam Smith, and it's like, you don't even know Sam Smith. And I get it, but when you network across, one person elevates, you both elevate, you know?
Yeah. Did you have any mentors or certain people to guide you?
I felt like I was on my own. There's a lot of shady stuff. People try to take advantage of you when you don't really know a ton about what you're doing. This
was when you were still like 19, 20, or?
At this point, I was 21.
Okay.
And I've had a long journey. Not as long as some.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always about patience and consistency. Adjusting. Like a lot of times, people do what they want to do for the long time, and they don't see the gaps in their behavior or work ethic or whatever. So for me, it was just always about just standing my ground on whatever it is that I wanted to do and executing it in the best way that I know how.
Yeah. So when you were writing music for all these artists that you were gonna pitch, were you still living with your grandma, or when was this?
Yeah, I was still living with my grandma. I moved out for like the year. I had an apartment with my brother. But afterwards, I just, my parents had a home in North Philly, and we just moved into there. So did your brother help you a lot with the songwriting stuff? Does he still help you? Well, back then we kind of didn't really get along as much creatively. But yeah, now he does. Yeah, I love that. So you were going to pitch all these songs, but then you kind of like took them all back, right? What was the turning point for that? Well, it wasn't like a take it back thing. It was like, yeah, I guess it was a take it back thing. But in my brain, that's not how I looked at it. I looked at it as more like, man, these few songs that I've written, I feel connected to. So that as a writer, the thing a lot of people don't know about songwriters is most songwriters wanted to be an artist. That's like one of the main things, being a songwriter. So for me, I never wanted to be an artist. I only did things for the moment. So when I was singing, it was for school. It wasn't like I wanted to be singing on somebody's stage or anything. But when I got the itch, it was like, wow. Like usually people would tell me, oh, like throughout my whole career, like, yo, you should be an artist. I'm like, no. Like, oh, I could do this for you. I could get you this. And I'm just like, I don't really want to do that. Yeah. But with those songs, it just hit me. And I was like, yo, I think this is the next phase of my life. And then I guess your name started from someone just saying as you were, yeah, that day. So is pink has it been your color since the onset, or was it just like kind of that time that you had those pink sweats? Well, I always enjoyed the color pink, and one of the reasons that I decided to wear it is because I believe we're in a state in the world where people are tired of the norm. And you know, it's a lot of toxic masculinity out there. A lot of just bad things where, you know, like I remember once my grandma was like, are you okay? Because I started wearing pink. I'm like, yeah, like, because she thought I was liking men. But that's her era, you know, like where she comes from. And I was just sat with her. I'm just like, this is why I'm doing this. And that's also your approach to R&B. Like you said in previous interviews, like certain lyrics you don't relate to at all. The masculinity of like R&B and everything. Yeah, and this is the thing that I always try to make a point about, is your music selection is about balance. When I first started listening to music, I progressed through so many genres. And it's like, that's like one of the biggest things to make sure you have balance. It's not like, oh, this is bad for you, or it's like, yo, you shouldn't. I saw an interview, I can't remember who said it, but he was an artist, and he was saying about rappers, he was like, yo, a lot of rappers sound like they only listen to rap. Yeah. And it's like, to think about that is funny, because you're like, wait, if you only listen to rap, where's the space for creativity? Yeah. For you to switch some things up. And I'm almost certain that people's favorite rappers are listening to Marvin Gaye and listening to Sting. But a lot of times you don't see that part. So you think that, oh, this is what's cool and this is all I should be listening to. But it's like, no. you need to have balance. Love, everything has balance. Love, hate, sex, drugs, all that thing. Nobody's perfect. Everybody partakes in something that makes them feel either really good or feel really bad. So it's about balance with your musical choices.
Yeah, so true. And when did you realize that you had problems with your esophagus, with your nerves?
I was like 22. And I got the surgery when I was 25, I think.
And did you get depression during that time? Yeah.
I was highly depressed because I just didn't understand what was happening. And I feel like that's one of the things when you get sick in any kind of way, it's like you just want to know what's wrong and if it can be fixed. And I really couldn't talk to anyone about it because, you know, like when you tell somebody something's that serious is happening with your body, people tend to be like, "Are you okay?" every 30 seconds. Yeah. And I just didn't really want that. So I finally went to go get checked out by a specialist, and they told me what it was, aplasia, and it's pretty rare. So that's why a lot of doctors couldn't really diagnose me. They were saying like, "Oh, you have acid reflux." I'm like, "No." This ain't no acid reflux. I just lost 20 pounds last week. Yeah, you lost so many in like within a few weeks. And it's funny because I didn't really take any pictures around that time because I was just like so embarrassed and ashamed. Because I've always been kind of like a bigger guy. And it took like a lot of time for me to mentally repair myself, because it's like when I saw myself that way, it's different when you lose weight periodically, but it's different like that must be shocking just looking in the mirror. You look in the mirror and it's like your face is just not what it was the day before. Or, so for me, it also helped me find myself too. So yeah, because before then you were like chasing more like money, girls, and that kind of gave you a whole life reflection. Yeah, because I mean that's what it was about at that time, because that's all that I saw. It was like you see people flexing and things like that, so it's like, man, when you don't have a lot of things, a lot of times that's your first motivator. It's like, yo, I gotta get things. Yeah. And I got some things. But afterwards, it was like, okay, wow. Now you gotta really reflect on yourself, who you are, who you wanna be, things like that. So reality started to kick in. Yeah. Because when you don't really have money, I used to, when I was working really hard, and I would stay in the studio for days, like sleeping there, and a studio owner would come in and wake me up, and he'd be like, "Ah, it's cool, man. You can stay in there." And I would sleep on the couches in the studios and stuff. So, and then around that time, people would always say like, "You know, it ain't about money." And it's like, when you don't have money and somebody who has something says that to you, it's like, well, give me yours then. Yeah. Like, that's how I genuinely felt. It's like, I'm starving or trying to make it, and someone says, it's not about money. It's like, at that phase, it is about money. Yeah. Actually, but you gotta graduate from those phases. Actually, when you were living with your grandma, didn't someone just write you a check or something? Somebody wrote me a check. And you never met that person after? I haven't seen him since. Someone wrote me a check one day. My lights at my apartment, I'm sick. My lights at my apartment were going to get cut off, and I really didn't tell anybody. When I left the house that day, my brother was like, "Yo, you gotta get this light paid." I was like, "Man, don't worry about it. Just try not to stress about it." And then when I went to the studio, this guy was like, "Hey man, did you see Cam?" And I'm like, "No." And at this time, I gotta go home, so now I'm starting to think about that bill. I'm like, nah, I didn't talk to him, and I'm ready to leave. So he's like, "Yo, make sure you talk to Cam." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Then I was about to leave, and then the guy Cam showed up. And he was like, "Yo, brother," and wrote me a check. I can't remember how much it was for, but it was like a sign that I was doing the right thing. Yeah. In the right direction. Wow. And did you realize that honesty would blow up so quickly? No, honestly, I didn't realize it would blow up so quickly, but I knew that it had all the qualities I guess, a song that would grab people. Because my manager, funny story, when I wrote the song, I sent it to him like the next hour. He was like, oh, cool. He was like, you realize you just said I want you like mad times. I was like, man, that shit's hard. He was like, I don't know. So then he calls me the next morning. He was like, yo, this song is stuck in my head. I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this is one. This is a great song.
Is it kind of surreal to you because you've been working on music so long, and right when you started your artist career, everything just...
Yeah, I think it's funny because a lot of times people say, oh man, you should have started when I told you to. It's like, no, like you have to have your own journey to reach that next level of growth. I feel like if I was an artist before, I would have been like a drunk or like an addict or something because I wasn't happy. You know what I'm saying?
And is that something that you consciously think about, like your branding or even the cover art and stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to take people from where they are to somewhere else, whatever that means to them. Because music, in a way, is escapism. And I believe everybody needs that. Sometimes you go to work and you're just having the hardest time, you throw in honesty, for whatever reason, you just feel lighter. And it's like, maybe you don't even have somebody in your life, but you get to romanticize and step away from the reality of life and just go somewhere else. And I think that's what music, that's what movies and everything, that's why I want to do all these different things, to provide an escape for people while not being so like I'm not telling people I'm drinking something that I don't drink. Like just to be cool, you know? So it's like me telling my truth while connecting with people and providing either a connection where they relate or that escapism.
How would you say your inspirations differ between Volume 1 and 2?
Volume 1 was more, I had no plan. I literally just wrote a couple songs and I was like really connected to them. But Volume 2, I noticed that people would be curious about some sort of rhythm or production. So I tapped in and I wanted to be inspired, was inspired by Bobby McFerrin. Just using those real sounds like tables, hands, and mouth. Like, and he has a song called Don't Worry, Be Happy that in my book is a song that will never go away. Like, don't worry, be happy. Like, that's never going away. That song will be in movies, commercials. It will be in people's lives for a long time. It'll be a part of people's lives for a very, very, very long time. And that's what essentially sonically I wanted to deliver. Something that doesn't age. Do
you have inspirations outside of music artists for your music videos? Like certain movies, or I feel like everything is so shot cinematically?
I guess overall I love movies, and it's not like I'm not a fanatic to the point where I know all of the directors, but I just love watching a good movie and being like, man, I wish I could do that right now. So I guess creatively with my team, every time we sit down, I'm just like, I want to make a movie. The song should feel like a soundtrack to what we're doing. That's why I don't sing a lot in my videos. I just want people to look and be like, wow, these scenes are so beautiful. And
are you planning to put out an album this year or a bigger project?
I think that's the plan to do. My album's almost finished. As far as tightening up everything. It's gonna be like 90% live. So
oh wow, I love that.
It takes a little bit more time to dig into stuff like that, but yeah, it's amazing. The songs are really touching and good.
How would you say your music has changed compared to the early songs you made?
You just get bigger. They get bigger and more cinematic.
How would you say you've grown as a person compared to when you were younger?
When I was younger, I was definitely more sad, I guess. It was like weird. I was happy, but inside, I was really sad. And It was just because I felt like I was so aware of my surroundings. And a lot of people, when you're that young, like my dad told me, he's like, when he was growing up, he didn't even know that they were poor. But it was like I was so aware of everything that I always felt like I was stuck. Like, oh man, I'll never make it out, or, you know? So as I grew up, I started to become a ton more optimistic. I started to adapt, like, speaking things into existence, and like, everything that I've said so far has been happening. When I started the artist thing, before the song came out, I made certain, I guess, I'm looking for the word. I manifested a lot of things, essentially. And they all happened, like, so fast.
It's so crazy.
And I didn't put a time on it, but I think when you're willing to do something forever, you don't have to end up doing it that long. If you're willing to do it forever, you might not have to end up doing it that long. So like, if you're willing to put that work and like, get gritty, sometimes the way the universe works is, oh, he really wants it, or she really wants it, or they, you know, and all of a sudden you just have the things you desire. And it's like, you have to put that work in, but also manifest it simultaneously. Like, my work is not going to be in vain, you know.
What does love mean to you?
Love is acceptance. Love is eternal. When you really love someone, in whatever capacity, you never really stop loving them. Even if you don't talk anymore, when they do cross your mind, you feel something, you know? Love is forever. It's all the good, the bad, and the ugly squeezed into one person. It's just like, oh, you accept all of the bad about someone while simultaneously making the attempts to help them grow without tearing them down. So, yeah, love is the most complex, it's the most complex, simple thing on earth.
Last question, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for helping break genre barriers in this era of music, and for artists of color to essentially be able to do their art, whatever it is, at a high level. And I want to be known for that. I want to, when the next person goes to get a record deal or whatever, people actually will believe in them bigger than the urban market, whatever that means. But I just want to be known for helping the culture of music.
This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.